Hi guys, I hope you're doing well, and I'm imagining that you're really excited about Halloween. I know I am, and I want to welcome you to Dog Skills, the human end of dog training. And I am experimenting today with using Zoom. This is the first time I've used Zoom on a Facebook Live, and the reason why I wanted to do that was so I could do a presentation more easily. But what I'm also wondering is it might be harder for me to see your comments. So I'm a little bit worried about that. So I might stop screen sharing at times to check on those comments. But I also pulled up my page, my business page on my cell phone. So I'm hoping I can see the comments as they come up on there. But definitely, this is going to be a weekly event on Wednesdays at 2 p.m., the human end of dog training called Dog Skills. So today we're going to be talking about Halloween dog safety. And I wanted to share with you a personal story of mine. So I used to go to outdoor concerts all the time before I had my daughter. I still go sometimes. But I remember going to them and just seeing some dogs that were just really, really stressed out. And the owners were completely oblivious of their dog stress. They were, bad dog owners. They just didn't know that their dog was stressed at the time. And they were just having a great time, and their dog was doing, all kinds of stress behaviors, like lip licking, eye blinking, cowering of the body, all sorts of things that I was seeing. And I just wanted to kind of educate you guys more about that stuff, because the dog actually didn't want to be there, even though the owner did. The owner was having a great time, that the dog was not. And sometimes that can happen on Halloween too, where we think that our dogs are having a great time, but they're actually not. So I wanted to have this video today to help you identify that, but also to get some other awesome Halloween safety tips. And I definitely want to make sure that you comment below. If you're on here now, comment. If you are watching the replay, please, please, please comment. I want to hear from you so I can help you best. And definitely share this video with others so that we can help out a lot of people and help them know more about Halloween safety with their dogs. So my first question to you is, what is the age of your dog? And what safety concerns do you have with your dog involving Halloween? Make sure you definitely comment below. Oops, there goes my phone. I shut that off. Even if you're watching the replay, because I'll see those comments later. And the more that you tell me about your dog and the more that you answer these questions, the more that I'm going to be able to help you out. And I have this question for you. How does Halloween affect our dogs? Every dog is different, and you definitely want to take your dog's feelings into consideration. So how do you know if your dog enjoys being dressed up? And the best thing that you want to do is look at your dog's body language. And I would like to ask you, what costume will you be wearing for Halloween? I am going to be dressed up as a black cat, I think. My daughter wants to be a candy cat, and I was like, what is a candy cat? So I had to learn and follow her lead, because I definitely want to empower her to make her decisions. And we also want to empower our dogs to make those decisions if they want to dress up or not. If I were to force her to dress up into something that she didn't want to, she still may comply, but internally she would probably be stressed out. So I asked her a lot of questions about what this candy cat is. What does it entail? Does it have whiskers? Does it have ears? all of that. And you can actually see a picture of her on my Facebook page if you're curious in seeing an actual picture. I do not have one to share with you right now, but she did have little kitty ears on, cat whiskers, and pants that have like candy on them. And she has a shirt that has a cat on it. And then she put little strands of colored hair that she attached to her hair. And then she wore some really colorful chokers, and she had some rainbow colored shoes. So she's very bright. So fun candy cat. So I would love to know what you will be wearing for Halloween. And I also would love to know, will your dog be dressing up for Halloween? Let me know about that. And we're going to be talking about some stress signs. So I'm going to go back to the screen share here. So how do we know that our dogs are stressed out? Right? There's a lot of signs that they can show. I'm going to show you or talk to you about some that I think are really common. So the ears are more forward or more backwards than normal. Okay? Your dog's body weight is mostly backwards, or they also can be more forward, but generally with a Halloween costume, they're probably going to feel more fear. So it's not going to be balanced. They're going to be more like cowering back. Their body is going to be very stiff, probably. There might be freezing in their body, and they might even be remaining still as you're putting the costume on. So in this picture, what stress signs do you see in this dog? And I would love for you to comment below so that I can hear what you see. Definitely in the replay, so that I can really help you identify those stress signs, because knowing how our dog feels allows us to make really good decisions when we are training our dogs, and of course when we're wanting to keep them safe. If they are stressed and we just make them do something, any dog can bite. A lot of people think, oh, my dog is just scared. He's not going to bite. A fearful dog will bite if they're pushed to that degree. So if you dress up your dog for Halloween and they're showing all these stress signs like in this picture, and then you take them out to a party or trick-or-treating, an additional trigger could then cause the dog to stop or bite someone. And then a lot of times people will say, well, my dog just did out of the blue. I didn't know why. Whereas they were showing these stress signs way before the bite even happened. And when you're able to identify those, then you're able to say, look, my dog doesn't like to dress up. My dog doesn't even like to go to this Halloween party. So I'm going to actually not take them in those locations. Or if I really feel like it's necessary to, I'm going to work on training my dog to realize that those locations or this costume is safe for him to wear. So you can see in this picture how the ears are going backwards. And we can't see the entire dog, but I'm sure if we saw the legs, we could see that it would be pointing more back. We do have a stiff body. And usually, you're going to see a lot of alignment in the spine when we have that. And then this dog too, you can see a little bit of the white of their eyes. So some other stress signs that your dogs can show. The back is contorted into an arc. Oh, it looks like I did a typo there. Oh, well, right? I'm not perfect all the time. So there's more of like an arc formation. The body is cowering away from you. So again, that backwards movement. The whole body might be backing out of the costume, or just not just having the body weight back, but the whole body might be moving away from you. The tail might be high up or lower than normal. More than likely, it'll probably be lower, and it could even be tucked in between your dog's legs. So when you look at this picture here, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. This dog's a little bit sideways, but there is going to be that arc formation in that back, right? So what stress signs do you see in this dog? Comment. Let me know what you see, because if you write it down or type it, it's going to allow it to integrate. You're going to remember it more, and even still, you're going to allow other people to see it. Other people will read it, and they're going to learn a lot about those stress signs too, but then you're also allowing me to comment as well and respond to make sure that I've communicated to the point of understanding, because I want to make sure that you guys really understand these stress signs. So then we also can see how that body weight is backwards in this dog. We can also see the head is more lowered, right? And I'm imagining if this wasn't just a picture, this dog's probably moving away, right? So there's a lot of that fear going on. We have the tail tucked in between the legs. So did you get any of those answers right? And are you seeing some things that maybe I didn't mention? There's probably more stress signs than that. I would love to hear. All right, so if your dog enjoys wearing the costume, you will probably see a different response, right? A relaxed, open mouth, a wiggly body with a lot of curves in it. The tail is going to be at neutral height. What the heck is neutral height? Well, every dog has a certain height they hold their tail. So sometimes it's higher than normal, sometimes it's lower than normal. You're going to look at your dog on a day-to-day basis. How high do they normally hold their tail? And, you're looking at that, the base of their tail over here. How high do they hold it normally? Here, 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 right? And that would be that neutral tail height. And his or her tail is wagging fluidly, and the tail is very, very wide. And the body weight's really balanced. It's not more forward or more back. So these next two pictures, I'm going to show you the dogs are sitting, but you can still see a lot. What happy signs do you see in this dog? I would love for you to comment below and let me know what you see. And I definitely see, like I'm talking about, those curves. So the head isn't in complete alignment with the spine. Can you see it's kind of cocked to the side a little bit? That's definitely a happy sign. The ears are forward, but it's more of like excited, like yippee treat response versus an aggressive stance. When we're looking at the sit, I would say it's a balanced sit. It's not more forward or back. The body weight's pretty balanced in this sit. We can't really see the tail in this picture, and that's okay. So then in this picture, what do you see? What do you see that's telling you that this dog is more happy or relaxed? And obviously, I wrote over here, notice that there's, a relaxed open mouth in this dog, but there's a lot of other signs in here that are showing that this dog is relaxed. And I would love for you to comment below and see what you've integrated from what I've already taught you to make sure you're fully understanding everything. All right, I'm going to stop screen sharing just for a minute to see if there's any comments. I can see that there is a viewer on now, I think. So if that's true, what's your name? I would love for you to comment below. Let me know who you are. What is the breed of your dog, the age of your dog? And what are some worries that you have around Halloween in your dog? Let me know. And definitely comment as we're going through this presentation, because I would love to hear from you so I can be a really good helper for you. All right, I don't see anything yet. If you feel uncomfortable with commenting, that's okay, but maybe as the time goes on, you'll feel safe to do so. So before you go dress up your dog, ask your dog if he really wants to wear it. Again, we want to empower the dog to make that decision. And by reading your dog's behavior, it's going to let you know if it's a good idea or not. What do you think your dog will say about wearing a Halloween costume? So now that you've learned all of these wonderful things, what do you think your dog will say about wearing a Halloween costume? Do you think your dog's going to be excited about it? Not so much. I know my dog did pretty well as long as it was like a shirt. I actually didn't do much more than that just because as being a dog trainer, I'm so aware on things that could be stressful for the dogs. And I know, the more I put on, the more I put on Seiki, the more I knew he was going to be more stressed out. So I would just put on like a really minimal amount of dressing up for him. Let's see if we have a comment yet. No. Oh, it's just me, huh? It says I have one comment, but I think that's the one that I pinned. Great. Okay. That's perfectly fine if you just want to listen through it. So where do you want to put your dog during trick-or-treating, or where is a good place to put your dog during trick-or-treating? So we kind of talked about the costume end, but now I want to kind of jump into, all right, now you are going to be handing out candy in your house. And you want to think, is your dog jumping and excited in a happy manner when these kids come to the door and do trick-or-treat? Or does your dog bark and want the trick-or-treaters to go away? So really think about that. And what is your dog's behavior when trick-or-treaters come to your home? Comment below and let me know. I really want to know. I know for me, my dog's behavior would have been running to the door and barking pretty aggressively. And I think I'm going to go back to the screen sharing here. So if your dog is barking and wants the trick-or-treaters to go away, then obviously your dog is stressed out. And the biggest thing that a lot of people don't realize is the barking will get rewarded as the people leave. So as the trick-or-treaters leave, if your dog is barking, the dog's going to want them to go away, and then they do go away. So as a result, the barking behavior will get reinforced. So you're actually going to be training your dog to do this more, which is probably not what you want. So does your dog bark when trick-or-treaters come to your home? I would love for you to comment below and let me know if your dog barks when trick-or-treaters come to your home. And that way I can help you best. So if your dog is uncomfortable or is really happy, there's a lot of things that you can do to make the situation be a lot more peaceful for you and your dog. So one thing you could think of is, where can you put your dog on Halloween when those trick-or-treaters are coming to your home? There's a lot of solutions to this. So one is you could send your dog to a friend's or family's home where trick-or-treating will not be happening. I actually had a friend recently where I went to their graduation party, and they actually just sent their dog to a sitter's. And had their dog be at the sitters during the party because they don't want to worry about doing training. They don't want to worry about losing their dog, etc. Their dog running off. So you could also send your dog to a dog sitter's home where it is also quiet and there will be no trick-or-treaters. That can be a really good solution. If those are not an option, like you can't send your dog away, create a relaxing home environment. So you can put your dog in a room or a crate that is far away from the front door and play classical music or white noise. And what the classical music will do is it's going to decrease your dog's heart rate and cause them to relax. The white noise is going to block out the noise of the people coming and going to your door. You could also play meditative music instead of the classical music. And then you're going to give your dog something to chew on. A Kong or a bone or some food-oriented toy. The chewing actually is going to decrease your dog's stress level. And you could also think about how you could set this up to be more successful with your dog, for your dog. So if you can, stand outside with the candy so that the kids do not have to knock or ring the bell. And that way your dog won't be triggered by the knocking or the bell. And I see a lot of people doing this nowadays where they're on the porch outside or in their front yard. Really, really good idea if you have a dog. What you want to avoid doing is avoid tethering your dog outside or putting your dog outside in your fenced yard. Again, your dog may bark here and will feel stressed, and he or she will also get rewarded for the barking. If your dog's happy to see them, then it might be more of, oh gosh, I really want to go over there kind of thing. You're still, even if the dog's not getting rewarded then because they actually want people to come to them and they leave, your dog's probably going to start feeling frustrated that no one's coming over. And that could actually change your dog to start being aggressive. If they want something and they can't have it, they start feeling frustrated. So you really do want to avoid tethering your dog or putting your dog in the fence yard unless they're going to be out there and just be completely quiet and relaxed. If that's the case, then it could be a good solution for your dog. So my question to you is, where will your dog be on Halloween? I would love to hear where your dog will be on Halloween. And okay, I got comments now. Just like I thought, it is harder for me to see them when I'm screen sharing with Zoom. So I will be going back and forth. So Anne does say her dog barks aggressively. And Belle will be there. So Anne is welcome. I'm glad you're here, by the way. Is Belle barking aggressively? Or is that Macy? Or is it both? And then you wrote here that you've done that when the weather is good. I'm assuming that you stood outside of the house instead of being in the house. If the weather ends up being, really bad, you can still like set it up so that they're not going to be knocking or ringing the bell. You could set up kind of a weird Halloween scene where like you make it look like the doorbell is broken, or you could just be more blunt and just say doorbell is broken, don't ring, and put a piece of tape over it. You could prop open the door a little bit. Obviously, if it's colder, that is going to let out some of your heat, but it could eliminate the knocking. You could also just open the door when you see the people walking up the sidewalks. You could just be extra vigilant and just be like, okay, every time I see someone coming, I'm going to open the door before they get to the knocking or the bell ringing. And that can really prevent a lot of that barking, but also remembering like creating that calm room. Were you on here when I was talking about creating the calm room? Let me know. Okay. Belle is a barker and she's upsetting Macy. Oh, I am so sorry. Okay, because I know that you just got Belle. So now it's kind of, Macy's feeling that energy and reacting to that. That makes a lot of sense because our animals feed off of each other. So again, were you on when I was talking about creating that calm room for your dog? Comment and let me know, and I'll check back on there. And I also would like to know is, where will your dog be on Halloween? Okay, so you missed, good, you responded pretty fast. You missed the calming discussion. Okay, so you can go back and re-listen to it, but I am going to go over it a little bit for you right now, especially since you're on the live call and I want to help you. So let's go back on here. So you could send your dog to a friend's or family home that trick-or-treating will not be happening, or send your dog to a sitter's, and that could avoid, that stress. You can also create a relaxing home environment where you put your dog in a room or crate that is far away from the front door, play classical music, or give your dog something really calming to chew on. And then this is probably when you came in. So doing this particular thing will make a huge difference. It can, if you're not able to have your dog be somewhere else. And really remembering that the barking is getting rewarded if you just let it happen, because they bark and then the trick-or-treaters go away, and they want the trick-or-treaters to go away. So the more they're barking, the more they realize, oh, this is working, and then the behavior gets reinforced. So by setting it up this way, we're preventing that behavior from getting reinforced. Nice. So we got a thumbs up sign. So it sounds like that was helpful for you, Anne. I would love for you to tell me, yes, that was helpful. Or if it was not, to ask me some questions about creating that calm room so that you can get the support that you need. All right, so let's skip up to where, well, okay, so now let's go to that question for you, Anne. Where will your dog be on Halloween? Okay. Do you have a dog that loves Halloween candy? Chocolate is toxic to dogs. I think some of you, or probably a lot of you, will know that, but not everyone will. So you want to keep candy up high away from your dog. Okay, so Anne said it was very helpful, and Belle is going to be in the house. So you could even do a trial run, Anne, where like you set, I don't know, Allison or someone, anyone in your family could just come to the door and pretend they're trick-or-treating while the Belle is in the calm room, and see if it makes a difference when you set those things up. You could add Adaptil into the picture, which is a calming pheromone that a mother gives it off to their young, and people have learned how to replicate it. It doesn't smell like anything to us, but it can really calm down some dogs. But it doesn't always work. So it is a little pricey, but you can go on eBay and sometimes you can find it to be a lot cheaper on there. You do want to make sure if you get the plug-in, it only covers a certain amount of area. So if you have a really large room and you put it in there, it's not going to make a difference. But you're going to be creating like a small room anyway. So putting an Adaptil in there could be helpful. You can also, if you're dealing with a larger area, you could spray the Adaptil on a bandana. They do make a spray form of that as well. The downside with it is we just don't know if it's going to work for your particular dog or not, because it is kind of a hit and miss. But lavender oil for some dogs could work too. But some dogs also hate it. So what I do, let's see, my lavender oils. Oh no, actually I do have lavender oil right here. Haha. So what I would do is I would take the actual oil and I would put it near my dog's nose. Now, if the dog comes over and like wants to lick it, then I'm going to assume that my dog likes to smell. If the dog tries to back away, then I am definitely going to say, probably not a good remedy to use, because the dog doesn't like the smell if they're trying to avoid it, more than likely. But if your dog does like it, then you could put like 1 or 2 drops of that on a bandana, or even put it in the diffuser. Now, keep in mind that their noses are a lot stronger than ours. You would put in a really small amount if you're doing a diffuser, then you would just for yourself as a human. And that can also calm them down as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the candy. So again, we want to keep the candy up high. Teach your kids to keep candy away from your dog. It's really important. If you don't have that, if you have younger kids and you don't tell them ahead of time, they're not going to naturally know not to eat on the floor when the dog is right there. And they may know to not feed the dog candy, depending on the age. If they're, 2 or 3, they may definitely want to share with the dog. If they're older and they know that they're not supposed to give the candy to the dog, they still may choose to be on the ground with the dog eating right there, or dumping the candy all over the floor and the dog comes over and starts eating it. So you really want to have that conversation with your kids. When we come home from trick-or-treating, immediately put your candy here. Put it in the closet and shut the door. Or if you're going to go through the candy together, then dump it on this table. Make sure you put it back into the bag and in the closet and shut the door when you go to the bathroom or you're leaving the room. Okay, if you have to go to the bathroom that bad and the candy is still out, ask somebody else to make sure they're watching the dog, or take the dog with you into the bathroom. Most accidents happen because people just don't set it up for success. You guys are on here because you want a well-behaved dog, so you're not like super naive, right? You're not just gonna like blatantly probably leave a piece of candy directly in front of your dog on purpose and walk out of the room. So a lot of this stuff is just accidental. So you just want to think about these things, even as adults, like setting candy out on a coffee table for guests or stuff that are going to come over after Halloween, or things, if your dog isn't good at leave it, they could just come over and immediately eat it. And it is very scary if your dog gets chocolate. Because you guys love your dogs, and then you're immediately like trying to get a hold of the vet if it's late at night. You might have to go to the emergency room. So preventing this can relieve a lot of stress for you. So my question for you, Anne, and for everyone else that is watching the replay is, how do you keep candy away from your dog? I would love to hear that in a comment. And then we're also going to be working on training leave it and place here shortly, which would be helpful. Okay, I don't see any comments yet. I am starting to feel like I like the screen share because you guys get to see things, but I would love to figure out a way around where I could still see the comments while I'm screen sharing. If anybody knows how to do that, let me know so that I don't have to move back and forth sometimes. Okay, I think Anne might have said something. Let's see. We leave the bowl on a high stool. We don't set candy on low tables. Great, that's wonderful. And just so you guys know, Anne has very small dogs, so they, and they're not dumpers. So having them be, lower, on a higher stool is a good idea for, your smaller dogs, as long as they're not jumpy like a Jack Russell Terrier, right? Your larger dogs, you might need to put it like in a cupboard and shut the door, or a closet, because if you just put it on the counter, they may just go right ahead and just immediately jump up there to get it. So we're going to work on teaching you on how to train leave it, okay? And just so you know, this is a homework video and online dog training client submitted to me. When I work with people online, I will have them send homework videos because I need to see what's going on when I'm not there. I'm empowering you to train your dog. And even more so, it holds you to be accountable to making sure you do the work. So we're going to skip ahead to about here. So what you're going to notice is the owner is going to have a juice box in his hand. So this could be a piece of candy for you. You want to make sure your hand's completely closed around it. We don't want the dog to be able to eat it or get sick. Let's make this larger. So I want it to be about there. Okay. So he's got the juice box there in the right hand. Okay, Okay, so do your candy. Notice how the juice box is sticking out. He cannot close his hand completely around it. If your dog doesn't know leave it at all, and this is the first time doing it, do not get a huge candy bar that's going to be sticking out from your hand. Make sure your hand can fully wrap around that candy initially. Now, this dog, this is not the first time that they've trained to leave it, because they were a client of mine, and this is a homework assignment. They were working on it a little bit. I think maybe it was like 1 or 2 weeks before this video as well. So, and the dog actually was guarding juice boxes. So even if you have dogs that guard candy or food, training leave it can be helpful. But definitely if you have that going on, I would strongly suggest that you get help from a professional, because it is a complex thing to train. So we have the candy in the closed hand. He's going to put it in front of the dog. And then he said, leave it. The dog turned his head away, and now you're going to hear him click and treat.
Good girl.
For those of you that don't know, the clicker marks the behavior. If you have a very fast look away, you can get the click in there in time. If you're just treating your dog and you're not using the click, then you got to give the treat in there right when that behavior happens. It can be a lot harder to do that, and a lot easier to mark it and then follow it with the food. So now he's switching to an open hand. So if this is the first time you train leave it, you want to work with the closed hand for a week or 2. And then we would start doing an open hand. So now he's got, his hand is wide open with the juice box in it. If the dog were to go at the hand, then you would close it. But again, this owner's been practicing a lot, so I don't think that happens in this video. But what you're gonna see is I want you to pay attention to when that click happens. So what is the dog doing when the owner clicks? And comment below on what you see.
Leave it. Leave it.
So what is the dog doing when the owner is clicking, marking the behavior that he likes? What do you see? And let's see if I got a comment. Nope, okay. Check back in a little bit as we keep watching it. Can always look at those at the end. So now he's gonna start dropping it on the ground. So again, you'd wanna do each of these steps for probably like a week. I would work with the open hand for a week and then progress to the ground. Again, this owner's been working for a decent amount of time at this, and juice boxes were something this dog would go after pretty intensely and growl at children. It was rather stressful for the owners, but they were very committed and were able to reconcile this issue very, very strongly through working with me. So then at this point, when you put the candy on the floor, you're going to want to be ready to cover it up with your foot. Okay, and do not work with chocolate or something that's super toxic for your dog when you're first doing this until you have a really good reaction time. I do not want you to be getting your dog sick. So again, let's notice what the dog is doing when the owner clicks, and comment below.
Leave it.
What was the dog doing when the owner clicked and then treated?
Leave it. Good girl. Good girl.
Cool. So I'll look at those comments in a minute. I do want you to notice too how the dog was set up for success here. We don't see the dog going after the juice box a lot. We don't hear the owner going, leave it, leave it, leave it. We don't hear a lot of yelling going on. In order to train your dog, you need to set them up for success. And if this is something that's really hard for you to grasp, I would recommend that you hop on to last week's Facebook Live, which was on the secrets to help your unruly dog to listen to you. And we do go over setting your dog up for success and why that's so important to train our dogs. Okay. Great. So Anne says, the dog is watching but staying seated. So yes, one time the owner clicked, the dog was looking at the owner, but not at the juice box, and he clicked that. Another time the dog was looking away from the juice box and the owner clicked that. Absolutely. Yeah. The thing that you don't want to click is obviously when the dog is going after the candy, or in this case, it was a juice box, right? So I have a question for you. Have you trained your dog to leave it? Let me know. I would love to know if you have. And now we're going to work on training our dog to go to his place. So I know, Anne, you've worked on that a little bit. And that could be one that you could work on some more, even for the barking. But I probably wouldn't be training that on a trick-or-treating day. I would be more like, can you go to the place when someone comes to the door? And, you know, stay there until released, and start with, you know, no one being at the door, and then start with people coming in the door that already live there, and then progress to harder people. Okay, so Anne says, yes, she has trained Leave It. That's awesome. I thought you did a puppy class. So I bet you they covered that in there, which is wonderful. All right, so training our dog to go to their bed or staying on their bed until released. So imagine if your dog's on their bed and staying there while your kids are eating the candy. Be a lot more peaceful house. I used to have Seiki when Iris was really young and would eat in the high chair. Seiki had to stay on his bed while she was eating in her high chair. And then when she was done and there was all these scraps on the floor, as long as the food was safe for him, I let him vacuum it off, which was really nice because she was a very messy eater, and I didn't really worry about it because Seiki was great with vacuuming. So this is actually a live session with a client of mine. Obviously it's recorded. It's not going on right now, but so you can kind of see like how this does work with Zoom. There is a voiceover in it because I'm explaining how to train a place for other people after I worked with this client. So we're gonna go up to 55 here. Okay, so I'm gonna explain how to get the dog on the bed here. So I want you to pay attention to what the owner does to get the dog to go to the bed.
So your first step is to make sure you have your bed, your clicker and your treats, and your dog is near the bed. And then you can go ahead and set a treat on the bed, or you can wait for your dog to look on the bed and click as they look on the bed. This client here is using a lure method where she is kind of moving the treats forward on the bed to get the dog to come on the bed farther. But you could also wait for the dog to look on the bed, click and treat that, then they get 1 foot on the bed, click and treat that, then 2 feet, then 3 feet, 4 feet, etc. to do a method called shaping, which then breaks the whole behavior up into approximations until you get to the terminal behavior, which is all 4 feet are on the bed. And you're gonna see that Kelly is gonna go ahead and click and treat that because Puggy did a really, really nice job at going on the bed.
So you can see there that we got the dog all the way on the bed now. And Kelly did have some pauses there, so she was doing actually a mixture of lure and shaping. You can combine them. That's completely cool.
At going on the bed.
There we go. Yay! Good. Yeah, and now what you'll do is you'll do that movement to get them into the down, okay? So a lot of times, a sit can be sufficient, but getting the dog into a down on the bed can help them get to be more relaxed. So if they already like going to their bed and they stay there throughout the day on their own, it's comfortable for them. Getting them to lie down on the bed can help it be more appealing and to stay there longer. So just notice the movement that Kelly does with her hand. She's got food in it and she's doing a lure. It means the dog's going to follow it. Notice how she lures the dog into the down.
Good boy. Oh, wow.
Yay! Good.
Buddy.
Nice job, Puggy. So then, of course, we're doing a lot of rewarding for the dog doing that behavior. Good job, Kelly. Look at what amazing progress you guys have made together. What a great team you are.
Oh,
yeah. And now you can start doing like some clicks and treats for staying on there. Right, so we don't want the dog to go on there and immediately pop off. So at this point, like Kelly's going to do those clicks and treats, you could also give your dog something that they're allowed to have to chew on while they're on there, like a Kong or a bully stick or something that they're going to be consumed with chewing and staying on there while your kids are eating their candy. So you can use this go to your bed technique like anytime he's running. So you're going to watch her doing some rewards there for staying on the bed. So some of it's petting and some of it's going to be clicks and treats. And I'm going to tell you, like, every single client I work with, I deal with this differently. Some dogs, I'll do a lot of clicks and treats. It looks like Puggy's about ready to pop off there. So ideally, we want to release a dog before they pop off. But remember, this dog is just learning. This is showing perfect videos isn't always what I want to do. But some dogs, when they're on here and you're doing the clicks and treats, they get more amped up and they have a hard time relaxing on the bed. If that's your dog, they may respond better with you giving that chew toy or doing some slow petting. So you want to make sure the petting's slow, not like this, oh, good job for being on the bed. Then they're going to just get amped up and pop off. So nice and slow will really help relax them. And I've had some dogs where we do a few clicks and treats for staying on there, and then the rest of the reward is literally just petting for staying on there. Yeah. So I think at some point we do, let's see if it's about here. Generally, to get the dog off the bed, we'll do a release. You don't necessarily have to train that, but if you do, then you're kind of teaching the dog they need to stay there until they're released. And then the way I do that is the owner will toss a treat. Let's see if I got it in the right spot for that.
All done.
Yeah. So there, so go a little bit farther back. So Puggy's on the bed, and notice what the owner does for the release.
Of it before she released him. And when you're ready to release a dog, you toss that treat to get them to come off, and then you say a release word. That could be all done, release, let's go. Something that's consistent that says, now you're allowed to get off the bed. And then you'll wait for them to come back on the bed when you're training this, because repetition creates success. And notice that Kelly got the dog into the down. She lured him into the down there, and she is going.
And notice there, like the dog got on a lot faster. So initially when you're training this, you're actually going to be luring or waiting for the dog to go on, rewarding them for staying on, then tossing a treat to them to go off, and then repeating it. They go back on again, and you do it again. So training is best when, or the dog will learn best if you're just repeating it over and over again than if you just do it in the moment of when your kids are eating the candy. You can do that, but if you're prepping a little bit before Halloween and practicing this ahead of time, and doing it multiple times in a row and doing a training session for like 3 to 5 minutes multiple times a day on place, you're going to be more successful on Halloween and after Halloween with place. So my question to you is, have you trained your dog place? And I would love to hear from you and know if you've done that. No, Anne definitely has, because we work together on that. So Anne, let me ask you a more unique question. Is there anything that you learned new or anything that was just kind of like an aha moment in regards to training place and leave it? Oh, so she just said we started training place with Belle. That is wonderful. Nice job. Great job. I think a lot of that stuff that we worked with will apply to the situation with Belle. So you can always look back at your notes and just kind of redo the training with your new dog. So I encourage you guys to, watch the replay again if you need to remember how to do these things or want to get it into your long-term memory more. And definitely, again, comment below because the commenting allows me to be able to help you. It also helps others because if they see comments, they're going to be more likely to watch the video. If they're watching the video, then it allows them to get the help that they need. It allows me to know what your struggles are and to respond so I can give you the best value possible. And of course, share this video with others. And I would love to know what other topics you would like to see covered in a Facebook Live. Definitely comment below on that. And I am going to take a drink because my throat is getting a little dry. All right, so I got some great comments here from Anne. I hint doing the creeping method and not making her do down right away. I'm wondering what you're seeing there. So it sounds like there's a typo or that I'm having trouble understanding what you're saying. Can you rewrite that, Anne, so I can help you better? Maisie doesn't do down very well. Okay. So, I mean, you can do the sit with the place as well. But definitely like working on that lure and then rewarding Maisie when Maisie goes into the down. If you're consistent with doing that and rewarding the down when it happens, you will be able to train down. Some dogs, it's harder for them to learn than others. You can also just wait for Maisie to naturally down. I'm sure at some point she does down. And if you reward it, that's called behavior catching. You just have some treats on you, and throughout the day, just click as soon as she goes into the down. And what she'll start doing is she'll start downing more often, and then you can start predicting when she's going to go in the down and start saying the word right before she does. Then she starts associating the word with the behavior, and then eventually you can start requesting it. Interesting thing, every time someone leaves a comment, I have to keep scrolling back down. I'm not sure why. It like goes back to the top. I gotta move back down, so that's why there's some pauses there. Okay, so let's see, when dog is getting to place, just luring instead of trying to get into the down. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with luring the dog into the down after they go on the place. That is totally cool. And okay, and Anne says that sounds good, so that must be good feedback for you. And Anne, is there any topics that you would like to see covered on a Facebook Live? And as you guys are watching this video, is there any topics that you would like to see covered? I am going to be doing a Facebook Live every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. I'm calling it Dog Skills, the human end of dog training. And the reason why I'm calling it Dog Skills is because years ago I did a live class in person called Dog Skills. And I did that for, I don't know, I think maybe like 2 years, and it was all on the human end of dog training, and I wanted to bring it back. And I thought this was a great platform to do it because people could come and watch it live. They can come and watch it later. They can share it. It's a wonderful way for a lot of people to get some help that they need. Okay. So Anne says dropping toys in fetch. We're struggling with it. Okay. So teaching drop would be helpful for you. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the screen sharing. So I wanted to talk about that you might be the perfect fit for the Dream Dog program. And in this program, you'll feel much peace and confidence because your puppy is going to learn to reliably listen to basic commands. You'll also get your puppy to walk loosely on the leash and listen well off the leash. We can help you no matter where you live because all you need is internet, a smartphone, a computer, a tablet, and you will get online sessions with me live through Zoom, and they will be private. What you'll receive in the Dream Dog program, your dog will learn quickly because your dog is going to immediately learn to listen to you. I won't be there getting your dog into training mode. I also won't be there distracting your dog and having your dog be so excited that the dog trainer has come, jumping all over the place, and then having to calm the dog down. Instead, I will see how things really are in your home, and you will get to be empowered to get your dog to listen to you. Just really nice. Like a lot of times when I come to the house, I'm taking the leash, the dog listens to me, and then the owner takes the leash, and sometimes they have trouble getting a dog to respond. So I won't be there doing that. I'm going to actively say, okay, we're going to get your dog to listen to you right away. What you receive in the Dream Dog program, you will be held accountable to do your homework by submitting videos to me. So the one on the juice box, that was a homework video that the client had sent to me. And then we review it in a session together live. We're going to screen share those videos, and your learning is enhanced because you're going to receive feedback while you're watching yourself instead of while you're doing the actual training. And that can really enhance learning a lot. To book a free phone chat, you can go to this link or text me. It's a great way to see if we're a good match to work together. Here's the link right here. It is pinned in the comments below. For additional help and other services that we offer, you can go to this link here to see that. And again, these links are pinned in the comments below at the top. Thank you so much for coming today. We love to have you. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay. Remember to comment and share so that we can help you best. And remember, we're going to be doing this every single week on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We would love to see you again. Have a very happy and safe Halloween. Bye-bye.